Hello and welcome back to Ember's Artwork. Today we will be drawing a pumpkin patch landscape. And a landscape is a picture of the land or outdoors. It's also when you draw long ways on your paper. So we have a few vocabulary words we're going to get through today. So landscape is when you draw a picture of the land. Also, it's when you draw long ways on your paper. Most landscape pictures are in landscape orientation. The horizon line is this line right here that separates the sky area from the ground area. If things are on the ground, they need to be touching the line or below the line. We care about where the bottoms of the objects are. The tops can be above, but where the bottoms are, they need to be touching the line or below the line. You can see that on these objects here. If they're in the sky, they can be above the line, but if they're on the ground, they're touching or below. Once again, we care about where the bottoms of those objects are located. Perspective, that's a big word. We'll be talking about it a lot today. So perspective, things that are close to the line are smaller, just like these pumpkins are smaller than the pumpkins at the bottom. These pumpkins here towards the bottom, they are larger because they're closer to the viewer. So smaller when they get closer to the line and bigger at the bottom. You would be standing right here down at the bottom looking out at the pumpkin patch. Things that are closer to you would be bigger. Things that are closer to the horizon line would be smaller. These fences are smaller than these fence posts just because they're closer to the line, they're further away from you, the viewer. These pumpkins are bigger because they're closer to you. These are smaller because they're further away, closer to the horizon line. Size, we just talked about that with perspective. Close to the line are small, close to the bottom are big. Space, we want to make sure we fill up all of our space. Also, it's how close or far away things are from each other. So these pumpkins, they are overlapping. There's no space in between. And in this group of pumpkins, there is space between these group of pumpkins. See that space in between? So space, make sure you fill up your whole area. It's also how close or far away objects are from each other. Okay, overlap. Overlap is when you have different objects that go behind each other in the picture. So this pumpkin is in front, and you can no longer see the lines of the pumpkins behind. If it's in front, it's blocking out those behind lines. And these pumpkins are also being overlapped by a fence. So those overlapping lines, they're going to be erased so that the fence is in front of them. All right, our needs today, we're over here to the right. We need 8 or more pumpkins, and I have 8 or more. Any number greater than 8 is fine, but no 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, or 1, because those are less than numbers. We want it to be greater than 8. Have a horizon line right here, separates the sky and the ground. Perspective. Things that are further away, these pumpkins are smaller than these at the bottom. Space, please fill it up. It's also how close things are to each other, or the space in between if they're further away. Overlap. It's when things go behind other objects, they're being blocked from your view, just like in these pumpkins here. And this is our vocabulary written out for you with the words. You need to pause it here to get a quick review, that's fine. Landscape, horizon line, perspective, size, space, and overlap. Okay. Make sure you have your needs checklist on your drawings today. How you draw it is up to you. So I'm going to be doing this drawing quickly with you guys. You do not have to draw it my way, but make sure you have the checklist. Starting off by drawing either a circle or an oval for the pumpkin. And I'm going to add a little stem on top, and I just use a little rectangle. Now, I need the pumpkins behind it because this pumpkin's going to be overlapping the two behind it. So I'm going to draw a C shape because since they're behind, I'm not continuing the circle all the way around. And I'm adding a little stem to that pumpkin. Another C shape for another pumpkin behind, and adding the little square stem. All right. So I have my first set of 3 pumpkins. Now I'm going to add some closer to the bottom. Since they're closer to the bottom, they will be bigger because we're talking about perspective. Closer to you at the bottom would be larger than towards the top, which would be smaller because they're further away from the viewer. This perspective makes it look realistic. So even as these pumpkins are overlapping in the front, they are getting a little bit smaller because they're getting a little bit further away from the viewer. So now I have 6 of mine needed at least 8 pumpkins. Drawing another oval down there in the bottom and an overlapping pumpkin right there as well. Alright, so I have my 8 or more pumpkins off the first checklist. And I'm adding my horizon line. It can be straight, it can be curved, but it's going to separate the sky and the ground from each other. Things that are on the ground, make sure the base of them touch the line or are below the line. If they're in the sky, they are welcome to be above, and we care about where the base of the object is. The top can go up as high as you would like. And I'm adding some details up here in my sky. They don't have to touch the bottom because they're in the sky. And I'm adding a fence, so I'm making sure it touches the line because it is on the ground. I'm just using rectangles and then connecting lines. And I'm going to make them go behind my pumpkins. My pumpkins can overlap the fence. But even add a fence down here at the bottom. It'll be a little bit larger because it's closer to the viewer. That's perspective. Rectangles and then just little connector straight lines. And now I'm going to take and erase those lines where they overlap. So you won't need those lines anymore because they're being overlapped by the fence post. I'm going to add a little tree. Once again, the bottom of the lines go below the horizon line. And since it's fall, why don't we draw some little leaves falling off the tree? And I'm going to have to go back and erase that line in between. Just like that, because it's being overlapped. Now I have a lot of space here in the middle, so I'm just going to add some little tufts of grass. Remember, we don't scribble to fill in our space, we add smart details. And a little bat in the sky. Make him a little happy bat. Still have some space over here in the middle, so I think I might draw a little kitty cat. I'm just going to draw really quick. These details are all up to you guys. Whatever kind of details you think need to be in your pumpkin patch are perfectly fine. And if you celebrate Halloween, you're welcome to make some of your pumpkins into jack-o'-lanterns if you would like. I'm going to also add some bushes up here on the horizon line, making sure they touch that line because they're on the ground. I'm going to add the line ridges on my pumpkins, give them some more details. Stopping where that fence post is because it's being overlapped. And then I'm going to make this one into a jack-o'-lantern. Just giving it some little eyes and a little mouth, and those line details for the pumpkin. Just like that. Just 2 triangles for the eyes, and then a U with a bigger U underneath, and then connect those lines for the smiley face mouth. Maybe another jack-o'-lantern right over here. Alright, and this is our drawing. I have nice thick black outlines, so if you drew with pencil so you could erase, you can go in and outline and then color. Thank you for joining us today for our pumpkin pictures.